Dr. Kaushik Das is the president of the Geriatric Society. He has a lot of experience working with the elderly. In his practice, he has also come across and treated the elder stroke survivors who are elderly. He has a long list of achievements, but it will take some time to go through them. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Dr. Kaushik Das. He has a presentation for us, and after that, he will take any questions and comments. Thank you.
Namaskar. Good evening, everybody. It's a proud moment for me to join here for a talk related to the stroke and stroke survivors. So the stroke means cerebrovascular accident. The prevalence of stroke over the world is much. It is a number 3 or number 4 killer in our India also. The stroke survivors imposes tremendous impact on their caregiver, and it also impacts their health. They suffers a lot. Some recovers completely, some with disability, permanent disabilities. Now I like to share my screen. I'm sharing screen. Is the screen is visible? Well, madam, am I audible?
You are audible, but
the screen is not yet.
At least at my end, yeah.
Yes, now it is showing that it has started sharing.
Yes.
Now we can see our presentation.
Now everything is okay. So, without spending time, I'm going to the topic. So our today's topic is stroke in the elderly and care thereafter. As earlier said, I am Dr. Kaushik Ranjan Das, President of Geriatric Society of India for the session 2021-22. Now I am from Kolkata, speaking from Kolkata. So I have said the stroke impacts severely in the person itself and their family also. Also, it impacts in the society. So next. Since the audience are not all are not doctor, although they are not doctor, but I have to, for formatting the presentation, I have to include a little bit which are related to medical definitions, etc. The stroke definition: the World Health Organization defines stroke as the rapidly developing clinical symptoms and or signs of focal, at times global disturbance of cerebral function, with symptoms lasting for more than 24 hours or leading to death with no apparent cause other than that of vascular origin. From the definition, it is clear that the stroke does not include the dysfunction of the whole of the cerebrum. Some point of the cerebrum may be disturbed, or sometimes whole of the cerebrum may be disturbed. So this is stroke. So what is burden of stroke? We know stroke is a non-communicable disease. So being it is a non-communicable disease, stroke has been gaining increasing socio-economic importance in aging populations. According to the World Health Organization, stroke was the second most common cause of worldwide mortality. Demographic changes, urbanization, and increased exposure to major stroke risk factors will fuel the stroke burden in South Asian countries in near future. This is a warning for us. About 20 million people will suffer from stroke each year, and of these, 5 million will not survive in near future. In India, stroke is the fourth biggest killer. Somewhere it is written third biggest killer. Stroke has also been a leading cause of disability and dementia. And stroke is a life-changing event. Remember, it's a life-changing event that affects not only the person who may be disabled, but their family and caregivers also. How the disease burden is measured. Nowadays, disability adjusted life years, DALYs, are commonly used to measure disease burden. Estimation of DALYs require measures of incidence, average, age of onset, and prognosis, that is, death and disability at various levels of severity. DALYs can be thought of as healthy person's years equivalent lost due to the disease. This counts the number of healthy person years lost due to premature mortality as well as morbidity. Stroke morbidity and mortality in India, the prevalence rate is here 92 to 2022 per lakh of population, 1,02,620 deaths per year. Probably this 1,02,620 death is less. Probably it is less. Probably more deaths are occurring in India due to stroke. 1.44 to 1.64 million cases of new acute strokes every year. 63,98,000 DALYs, that is disease and adjusted life years, and 12% of strokes. Remember, 12% of strokes occurs in the population who are aged. Then the economic burden of the stroke. Stroke, like other chronic diseases, imposes direct costs, that is the cost of medical care. Indirect cost, that is the cost incurred due to loss of productivity. This cost imposes on the person himself and also on the nation also must be taken into account. And also the cost is of intangible cost, that is the cost of suffering or pain. It is estimated that India's growth of gross domestic product may fall by 1%, much, because of the combined economic effect of coronary artery disease, stroke, and diabetes. So in summary, the burden of stroke are death, disability of different degree, poor quality of life, loss of productivity, caregivers burden, medical cost, intangible cost, and impact on GDP of the nation. So, now, why burden of stroke will increase in coming years? This is due to increase in population, increase in life expectancy, people live longer, rapid urbanization, due to which there is migration of people, that is villagers, to the cities, changing lifestyles involving sedentary habits, smoking, excess alcohol use, etc., and rising level of stress. Now, this is very important. What are the risk factors of stroke? There are non-modifiable risk factors, also modifiable risk factors. In the non-modifiable risk factors we cannot change, but we can do a lot for the modifiable risk factors. So what are the non-modifiable risk factors? These are age, male sex, ethnicity, blood group, etc. Modifiable are diabetes mellitus, hypertension, dyslipidemia. Cardiac causes of the modifiable risk factors are arrhythmia, valvular heart diseases, and ischemia. Smoking is also a modifiable risk factor. Alcohol, drugs, etc. are also modifiable risk factor. Types of stroke. 3 types. Transient ischemic attack, that is suddenly symptoms come and it resolves by 24 hours. But we should not neglect this transient ischemic attack. Then the ischemic stroke. This occurs due to blockage of the blood vessel of a region of the brain due to some causes. What are the causes? Maybe thrombosis, maybe embolism, and the hemorrhagic stroke due to rupture of the blood vessel in the brain. These are the 6 types of strokes. Now the diagnosis. It's an important point. A careful observer at home can have the suspicion of strokes. This suspicion of stroke can easily be done at home if on looking at the person or on speaking, the face is drooped, that is, it goes down in one side, and on raising both arms and keeping for 10 seconds, if one arm drops, and in difficulty in speech or slurring of speech, then it is suspicious of stroke. If there is a suspicion, we should not cause any delay, and this is the T, this is the time, and we have to send the person or the patient to appropriate facility without any delay. Remember, without any delay. The window period, as some says, is 4.5 hours. Also some says 3 hours. So within the window period, we should send the person to the appropriate service facility by acting fast, FAST, already described the fast. So diagnosis by acting fast as described earlier, by imaging. What are the imaging modalities? CT scan, different modalities of magnetic resonance imaging, CT or MR angiography. Investigations and treatment should be done in usual way. Early diagnosis and taking this sort of time, the appropriate treatment confers favorable outcome in terms of morbidity and mortality. This is also done by acting fast. Now coming to complication of strokes. What may be the complication? First of all, maybe death, disability, post-stroke pain, spasticity, there may be myocardial infarction, seizures, pulmonary embolism, deep vein thrombosis, arrhythmias, pressure source, nutritional deficiency, electrolyte disturbance, especially hyponatremia, etc. Now, the preventive aspect. What is primary prevention? What is meant by primary prevention? Primary prevention is to prevent a disease to come by taking measures. I've already earlier said about the modifiable risk factors. If after screening we get the risk factors and modify accordingly, then we can also prevent stroke. So in primary prevention, interventions are expected to target behavior modification. What are they? Such as reducing smoking, alcohol and salt consumption patterns, and increasing physical activity. Pre-morbid undernutrition is associated with poor stroke outcomes. Increasing fruit and vegetables consumption is considered to reduce the risk of stroke by about 6%. Now, the secondary prevention. Secondary prevention is the action taken after the stroke has occurred to reduce suffering, to prevent death, etc. The optimal medical therapy that includes antiplatelet therapy, statin therapy, risk factor modification is recommended for all patients with carotid artery stenosis and transient ischemic attack or stroke as a secondary measure of prevention. For patients with non-cardio, embolic or ischemic stroke or transient ischemic attack, secondary prevention includes the use of antiplatelet agents rather than oral anticoagulants to reduce the risk of recurrent stroke and other cardiovascular events. Now the tertiary preventions. This is after the stroke has occurred. Then the main part of the tertiary prevention is to prevent further stroke and also rehabilitation of the patient. People who have had a recent stroke or more are more likely to maintain their ability to carry out daily activities if they receive rehabilitation services at home. Stroke rehabilitation is expected to begin as soon as possible after a person has a stroke and continue for as long as it is clinically appropriate. Recent review illustrates that people who had a recent stroke were more independent in personal activities of daily living and more likely to maintain these abilities if they receive therapy services. Rehabilitation is the strategy to enhance functional independence in patients with stroke. Stroke rehabilitation is very important, though neglected part of stroke management. Contrary to the belief, rehabilitation should be initiated soon after the patient becomes medically stable. If we do not wait for stabilizing the patient, or we do strenuous rehabilitation program, then in ischemic stroke, there is a term, hemorrhagic transformation of the ischemia. I have seen many patients to occur in my personal patients have transformed to hemorrhagic transformation and ultimately died. That is why this point should be taken into consideration. The aim of rehabilitation in stroke patient is to try and attain the best physical, mental, and speech potential in a person post-stroke. Various scales are being used to assess progress of recovery in stroke rehabilitation. Most widely used are Bartle scores, Rankin score. So stroke rehabilitation after discharge include the following actions. What are they? Physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech or communication therapy, mental or psychological counseling. Splints are used in neural rehabilitation to manage pain, hypotension, spasticity, etc. Therapeutic positioning, carefully holding the shoulder to prevent dislocation, transfer of strength achieved during therapy, encourage use of affected side during the day, learning correct techniques to transfer the patient from bed to wheelchair to prevent back pain, encouraging and motivating the patient often, modifying home appropriately, that is patient-friendly home environment. Intermittent rest is important to prevent fatigue. there are recent advances in stroke rehabilitation. Rehabilitation has taken a big step forward in recent years with the advent of the following. These are mental therapy, functional electrical stimulations, and robotic therapy. Mental therapy through electrical stimulation, functional electrical stimulation is also stimulating group of muscles. Robotic therapies by robot. These are developing. Rehabilitation is another subject. I am not. Yes, I don't know person course of this. Superficial knowledge is there, and I am describing this. Probably there is. Now the point is caregiver issues. So we have described prevention of the disease. We have described the complications. We have described the rehabilitations, need for rehabilitation also. Now we know in India, about 80% people lives with family, and due to our culture, due to our economic conditions, socio-economic condition, majority of patients are being cared at home and by family caregivers. They may be their kids, their brothers, sisters, other relatives. So caregiver issues is very important in any bedridden patients. These are like this stroke, this Parkinson's disease, this dementia, and other terminal diseases. So I shall try to describe these caregiver issues. So first of all, about their knowledge and skills. Individual caregiver issues commonly relate to insufficient knowledge. They may have insufficient knowledge and skill to understand and manage stroke survivors. There are physical problem, cognitive problem, emotional and behavioral problems. So first of all, there are issue of knowledge and skills. The next thing is caregivers feel uncertain and unprepared in the caregiving role. So the second point is information about the patient. Where the patient is required to be taken care of by the caregivers initially request information about the stroke diagnosis, what may be the prognosis, what may be the complications, and whether the patient will recover or not, etc. As stroke survivor begins the transition to home care, caregivers require information about assuring their safety. This caregiver requires information about assuring the safety of the patient, including fall prevention, medications, prescriptions, adequate nutrition, management of physical, instrumental, psychological, and behavioral problems. So they must be trained in this regard. Caregivers need open and honest communication about their role, stroke survivors' abilities, while also offering hope. These are the points. These are the informations required by the caregivers. There may be choice of working pattern of the caregiver side. Caregivers may request that more extensive services be offered during rehabilitation, especially on weekends, because competing works and other responsibilities, that is family, home, temple, church, etc., make attending rehabilitation therapy difficult during the week. These are the problems may come across, and we have to give a suggestion accordingly, and the concerned professionals should train them accordingly. point is caregiver stress and strain. This is a very important part in carrying chronic disease, debilitating disease. Caregiver stress and strain. Caregivers may question how they will manage caregiving long term. Long-term caregiving is a point of anxiety for them and report feeling of physical and emotional strain, being worried about themselves and care recipients. Worried about themselves and care recipients also. Extreme tiredness and losing self to caregiving. Caregivers experience restricted or missed valued social activities. These are the important areas, such as performing family rituals, visiting family and friends, attending religious services, participating in social events or classes, going out for enjoyments. Caregivers reported loss of friends because of inadequate social contact with these friends. They may feel abandoned, want other family members to offer assistance rather than waiting to be asked to assist them. These are points we can see when we go to physician, when we go to a patient where a chronic patient persists, and we see after questioning the patient's caregivers, all the points come out. So how to help caregivers to cope with the situation? Caregivers need suggestions for setting realistic goals to improve their physical and psychological activities. That is exercising, eating a healthy diet, do enjoyable activities, reading, going to church, social activities. They should be suggested accordingly and they should be encouraged. Skill training to offer support and teach effective coping skills. So we have to train and so that they can cope with the situation, such as relaxation techniques, problem solving techniques. These are useful in lessening negative caregiver outcomes. Interdisciplinary collaboration programs that offer telephone and in-home after-discharge follow-up is important for caregivers. This respite care is a very important part. Respite care is important in providing physical and psychological time away from caregiving. This respite care, though it is less discussing areas, but I myself discuss this respite care when and where I get a chance. I have also tried to start a respite care in my locality respite care center with the intention to relieve the caregivers from to prevent their caregiver burnout in my area. But I could not succeed because of the starting of the pandemic, COVID pandemic. It is stopped now. Nursing intervention programs based on empirical literature and stroke rehabilitation patient care guidelines that address these stroke caregivers issues are essential in improving caregivers' well-being and quality of life. Role of geriatric social workers, that is trained professional caregivers, can support as a caregiver, can accompany the patient in his IADL, that is instrumental activities of daily living, treatment, follow-up, etc., thereby reducing family caregiver strain and also burnout. So we have tried to give them the solutions to prevent caregiver burnout also. Now, way forward, what we can do? Since in our country, diagnosis and management of stroke patients have been affected due to our socio-economic condition, lack of awareness and scarcity of appropriate management facility, etc. And since it is evident that for rehabilitation of a stroke patient, multidisciplinary approach is required, among which role of caregiver is of utmost important. In India, since majority of our elderly people lives with family caregiving has been the mainstay till date. It is also evident that caregivers' issues, including burnouts, acting as a big hurdle in the rehabilitation of stroke patients. Hence, for the sake of successful rehabilitation of stroke patients, following parameters requires to be looked into and solutions as described to be undertaken. So what are the measures that can be undertaken? It's awareness program for all. That means including doctors, caregivers, family, friends, all. There should be an extensive awareness program regarding all aspects of a stroke patient. Availability of appropriate center. We know we have described earlier about the window period. If a center is more than 6, if a center is at a distance where we cannot reach in 6 hours, then how can we get the advanced treatment or appropriate treatment of the patient? So availability of appropriate center and appropriate location is required, and there should be allocation of fund for managing stroke patients by the government. Increasing number of trained manpower at the centers, all doctors, paramedics, and other technicians also. As described earlier, there are rehabilitation center. Rehabilitation is a separate subject. Rehabilitation center nowadays have very rich instruments, and the way of rehabilitation is also very advanced. So rehabilitation centers to be installed in increased number. What are the caregivers concerned? Training program of family caregivers to be undertaken by the government, by NGOs and other organizations. So training of the family caregivers is a very important thing. Measures to be undertaken for preservation of extended nuclear family and farm family bonding by government through intersectoral program, and also by NGOs, professional organizations working for the cause, media, etc. This family bonding, nowadays in India also, family bonding has been degraded. But for the sake of the patient's care, for the sake of the stroke patients, for the sake of our elderly care, my opinion is that we have to try to preserve the family bonding, and to by intersectoral government, NGOs, professional organizations, etc. Media should be engaged there. This is I am very much in support of this farm family bonding in India. Measures for making professional caregivers in increased number with pace. That is, within shortest period of time, we have to make increased caregiver, and also to make trained therapists to fulfill the shortage. Now, in conclusion, since continuum of stroke care and rehabilitation is expected to ensure best possible recovery, therefore, it is hoped that stroke rehabilitation program in India will be extended to all levels by Government of India. Innovative stroke rehabilitation program will also be introduced in India for improving quality of life of stroke patients and their family caregivers, and also for the sake of reducing healthcare expenditure, both direct and indirect, that is from the pocket of the family members and also from the government. So here is some references. Next to it, there is I am giving you can say advertisement of a book. I myself and our General Secretary, Dr. Rafi Sharma, Professor Dr. Rafi Sharma, have edited a book named Non-Clinical Frontiers in Geriatric Care. This includes these historical aspects, other many aspects, of geriatric care. It includes very little medical things or clinical things. So this book is available in Flipkart. Those who are interested in caring elderly can get the book through Flipkart. So here is the end of my presentation. Thank you. Thank you very much for patient sharing. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, Dr. Das. We
Thank you
will
very
now
much.
open it for questions and comments. Please raise your hands if you have any questions. Does anybody have any questions or comments? All right.
While we wait for maybe some other people to come in, I just wanted, while I was listening, I had some queries. Dr. Kaushik, in your experience, you raise
Sir.
a host of issues, and of course, those issues they weigh heavily on everyone's mind who's looking at long-term care. They weigh on the caregiver's mind, they weigh on even the survivor's mind. Like for example, you talked about helping the caregiver's cope. In your experience so far, have you seen anywhere a successful example, of let's say, is, for example, you mentioned about respite caregiving. Have you seen anywhere, either in India or abroad, a model that one can perhaps emulate? And if you can elaborate upon that. I'm talking specifically of respite care, here.
Thank you, sir. Respite care is my, you can say, it's a very much it's my plans to establish a respite center. I'm a student of geriatric medicine, and through my training, I have learned about the care systems, care facilities over the world. So respite care, as I have gone through the chronic debilitating patients, that is patients of stroke, patients of Parkinson's disease, that of dementia, I felt the caregiver burden. I have seen in my area, if the school closes, the kids of that elderly patients needs to be taken their child for a holiday. But when there is nobody to take care of their this patient who is bedridden, who needs support in his ADL and IADL, then he cannot go to this tour. Also, he cannot attend any marriage ceremony, social gatherings, and also I have already described this content. I have personally felt that. And due to this feeling, I think that respite care facility is a very important area in our geriatric care. This respite care is also required if we, during a stroke patient, say he or she is staying in a hospital, in a corporate hospital. Every day's bill, there is a hike in the total number of the money, total amount of money. So if for some days, if the stroke patient can be kept in a center where there is medical facilities, there is grooming facilities, there is irrigation facilities for some days, after which we can transfer him or her to his home. This is also respite care. So giving respite to the caregiver, and for a small period of transition, this respite care is very much required. In India, I have searched internet several times, but I could not find any such respite care. I I had started, must say, I had started a respite care facility in my locality, because at this age I am not ready to spend any money to install any private respite care center. So, through collaboration of a nursing home authority, I established at the end of 2019 a respite care center with very less fees or charges. And I could admit many patients there. And after the COVID has started, pandemic has started, the staffs who have been working, they left to work, and I have to send the patient by requesting their the patient's guardian to send back home. Since then, there is no respite care under my supervision.
No, I hear you, sir. I just to carry a little bit forward with your experience. Of course, COVID happened and it intervened, but just to get a sense for the participants also, because again, this is a huge issue, including I know we have people on the group, including in Kolkata, who are probably struggling with similar issues. So when you started your center, although it is closed now, I just want to have a sense. Roughly, how much would it cost, or was it costing for a patient, let's say on a monthly basis?
I have kept only 500 rupees per day for his diet and the attendance.
Okay.
It is caregiving, including I myself, the physician. During the preliminary stage, I was not charging because the center was not far from my residence. Though this is not free of charges, but I did not take any charge. I started to take patients to for this motivation, awareness and motivation of the people that such things are required. Many person organizes tour programs. They feel the need of a respite care. When they organize their tour program during the vacation periods, and during that period, the father of a child takes their child to get a tour and go to vacation. The tour organizers have a necessity for the respite care. This is another issue. This is practical thing. This is the issue. So respite care, you can charge this 500 rupees there, it's okay. But the medicine cost, the medical equipment cost are excluded.
But in about 500 rupees, he would get perhaps a good
Pudding,
diet and an attendant and staying,
Not if it is a common attendant.
Common attendant. Yes.
Common attendant, daily medical checkup, and there will be recreation facilities, television. If they are in that center, there is a roof. We can take the patients on the roof for a walk and for mental freeness or mental education also. This was my plan. Though it is not my brainchild, it has been persisting, but it is a very important area. Even we can take some patients. There's those who are debilitating cancer patients also may die in the center, but it has some drawbacks also. Some persons will send the patient to that center, will submit some money. After that, we may not be able to trace the kith and kin of that person. This is a risk. But I had taken the risk. This is an important reason. But there should be collaboration with the local administration for the measures. That is police and the administrators like STO. We should have inform them. As of now, there is no specific rule or law for establishing a respite care center. What I know is a registered NGO, through the resolution of their executive body, can open a respite care center, but they have to maintain their accounts.
This is a very important area.
Actually, every day I am working for other people, but I could not do anything.
Yeah, well, we hope after now, hopefully COVID is over, and we hope that you can start your endeavors again. And because these are needed. Of course, we also interact.
This is need of the hour. Two things are need of the hour, sir. One is in case of elderly, home care and this respite care. If we can establish this home care facility and this respite care, we can do a lot for caring our elderly or caring our chronically diseased patients.
The great balance between being able to be surrounded by your family, but also allowing them that much space and freedom to unwind and relax.
Definitely. This is very much required. Otherwise, they will become sick. They need to be hospitalized. A unconscious patient does not know his pain or suffering, cannot say because he is in coma, but he's loving kith and kin over the 24/7. They are working for caring the patient. They are loving one. This patient does not know the suffering of the caregivers, but the caregiver is suffering.
And even if they are aware and conscious, they may not be completely like they were before the disease. So it becomes difficult for them to understand the caregiver because they are dealing with their own issues of identity or not being able to do things like before independence. Several caregivers that I have spoken to often bring up this, that they feel very depressed and बहुत बंद जाते हैं वो caregiving में. तो वो छुट्टी चाहते हैं कि काश एक दिन कोई इनकी केयर करे तो मैं थोड़ा रिलैक्स हो जाऊं, भले कहीं ना जाऊं, अकेला भी होना चाहते हैं.
This is Madam respite. This is respite care, and we should have trained professional caregiver also. We can bring them for some days
of few
they will
hours.
definitely charge money, and that is why for intermittently they can bring these professional caregivers, not Aya. Professional caregivers are like their son, like their relative, not Aya or a ward boy.
Right.
We are trying to train geriatric social workers. We have planned to have a video training program.
Okay. What is
With a video training program for geriatric caregiver.
right.
Caregiver training program. It will be online video program. We have planned in West Bengal, Geriatric Society of India West Bengal branch and the Eastern India branch will jointly do that. Within 2 or 3 months, we shall start this.
Is there any government assistance that you're getting, sir? Any programs, let's say, for in this matter? Is there any such?
Sir, for elderly people, there is a term IPOP, Integrated Program for Older People. There are several areas where they disperses fund.
What is that program again? Can you IP?
Many program IPOP. But
Okay.
this hear from me the story. The organization should be a registered organization to start the program, and after 2 years of running the program, they can apply.
Okay. Mhm.
So you see, where is the how one can run the program? A honest person is for a honest person. It is difficult to run the program. I have started with the hope that they will give me. I am not aware of the fact that the 2 years is required. I
Okay.
have applied, the district authority have sent my proposal. I have started and I have spent about more than 1 lakh rupees from my own for this thing. This is to continue a multi-purpose center for older people, where everyday older people will come, they will sit, they will check up their health, and also there will be some recreation programs. And at the end of the day, they will get go home. This is what the program of I have started and continued. Continued for the past year. They did not give me any support. In spite of depart from the state to that central government, I have gone to the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, spending airfare from my pocket, and met that they are the nodal officer, that is deputy secretary. I also met the joint secretary, but they said you have after 2 years you will get.
Mm.
I came back and what continued in the second year. The proposal, the state government has not sent the send my application to the, although the application process is online, but they have to refer. There is a computerized process. They have to refer it to the central government, but that they have not referred. And ultimately, I have failed to continue the program because the home rent should be given. Some staff are there, although dedicated, very little remuneration was given to them. But I have failed and already stopped after 2
Sir,
years.
I'm seeing on chat, Purnima ji has offered her kind help. You know, you were talking about this online caregiver training.
Yes.
So we have Purnima ji, who's presently in the US, but she is a trained therapist, and she has offered her kind help in developing this program along with you, which is great. I will probably, you know, speak to her and connect you too. So whenever you're developing your online training programs for the caregivers, you know, people such as Purnima ji, and they can probably assist you in that. You know, that will be great too. Yes, yes.
Yes, sir. We have a training module. This is being approved by the Geriatric Society of India. And one thing I have to mention also, since 2011, I have trained some caregivers free of charges and continuously for 3 years. Some of them have been derailed, some are working, some are still with me. I am trying to develop home care service in my locality with the help of this person, also with the help of newly trained persons. I am trying.
That's great. Yeah.
Not experimenting, trying from heart. But
Yeah, one can.
this age, my age is 64 running. That is why I cannot take much risk for that.
No, we
But I am
appreciate that,
working.
but you are trying, which is
Yes,
you know,
yes,
which
yes.
is a
Trying
great
and
step.
disseminating the knowledge.
Yes.
I am disseminating the knowledge through this, through speeches, talks, also through papers, so that some people get interested and take the thing.
Take it forward. Yes. Well, let's hope that from here also, maybe some people can be in touch with you to take it forward, to take the movement forward. Certainly hope that. I see that we're already at 8 past 8, and
The nice discussion has been.
You had given us time till about 7:45, 7:50. I will just ask quickly if anyone has any question, Hetalji, if you can ask, and then we can take it further.
Thank you, Hardeep ji. Important questions about funding and permissions and such. And Dr. Das, your efforts are really commendable, and we are really honored to have you on our forum. I will again ask if anybody else has any questions or comments for Dr. Das. You can please raise your hand. Very quickly though, because we are already running a little late past our closing time. All right. Doesn't seem like anybody has any questions or comments now. You can always write to us later and we can take it forward from there. And Dr. Das, once again, I would like to.
Madam, before concluding, I see Dr. Partha Rai has joined, but he is muted. Can I request Dr. Partha Rai, can you unmute? Oh, yes, come.
Good to
So,
see you again.
I want to hear any few words from this neurologist, this my very loving person, Professor Partha Rai. Sir, please.
No, sir, it has been a real pleasure listening to you and the great work you are doing. I was listening. I was from the very beginning. I have heard every bit of what you had to say. And we take inspiration because you are actually putting the family values first. You're putting the care of the elderly in the community. That's a very important model. The respite concept that I have been practicing for the last 27 years, as you very well know, from 94 in the UK, is not developing. And just day before yesterday, one of my 92-year-old patients in a very remote village in Midnapur passed away from a stroke. And I looked after her through teleneurology for 5 weeks. And the respite care was being provided, not the respite care, the clinical care in her home. My target was basically to enable her to die in her own bed. And that we managed with the total involvement of the whole family. And here was I. There was one doctor over there, MBBS, but you see in remote villages, no doctor wants to go. So I realized the situation on the ground in Bengal at least is that you don't have a doctor, you don't have an ayah, there is no nurse. There is usually somebody who can put in a Ryle's tube. There is one or two, people who are not paramedics, but they can put in an IV saline. So with this, I was managing a huge left cerebral, middle cerebral artery infarction. And then what infection she did not have, including the black fungus. And we had posaconazole by Ryle's tube. So it was a great experience that these things can be done. And I was very satisfied that eventually she died of a pulmonary infarction. So I don't get the privilege of actually following a patient for 5 weeks every day, like 24-hour on call. And, it was a great learning experience for me that given the right intentions, we can deliver care remotely because if at any stage I was not sure that the patient was getting the right treatment, I would have asked the patient to be hospitalized. They actually went there for the first 5 days, but then with Corona, and this lady was not vaccinated and nobody was following Corona rules, they felt that let us bring mother back home so that at least she doesn't die of Corona. So we had entire COVID protocols. My basic thing is that I found the burnout that you, Dr. Das, has just now mentioned, going higher and higher in the family members. There were 4 sons and 2 daughters and 3 grandchildren who were providing 24-hour coverage. And I was doing a 24-hour on call for 5 weeks for this patient just to test myself. Is a big, a big example of managing pressure sores, UTI, fungus, virus, black fungus, electrolyte disturbance. Everything was there. So it was a good revision for me to charge up, entirely do an ITU management. So eventually I could not give heparin for prevention of DVT because she had a huge infarction and she was on dual antiplatelet because she suffered a 3rd stroke, mid-brain brainstem stroke, then a right middle cerebral artery stroke, followed by another brainstem stroke. And so I was on dual platelets. I could not give her heparin because that would have caused hemorrhage in the brain. But then I lost her to the DVT. The main issue that came out of it was that our families still want to contribute a lot for their care of their own, which I don't find is the culture in England. We talked about it another day. I have the patient but they have the full environment, the social service system, the infrastructure to manage that. And we have debates with Dr. Das's meetings that I go to as well. where I believe that, Dr. Das is a very much of a believer in the traditional model. He still believes that we can rescue our cultural front, which is fine. But, practically with so much of financial pressure, so much of modern day pressures of living, urbanization, employment of women, who are the main caregivers. See, men are not good caregivers. We can do things. As I found out, the 4 children were saying, and these are basically, very educated, high court barristers and that sort of people. They were running around wherever I was sending them, civil engineers. So they were all doing exactly what I was asking them, but the looking after the mother, preventing shoulder dislocation, this was managed by 4 granddaughters and 2 daughters. So, and I found them that they were gradually dropping off. The burnout was becoming a real problem. And I had told them that, look, you have to get 2 ayahs for me and 1 nurse. And I can work with that, because you can be with because it takes away 2 things. One, when they enter into the caring role, then they have to take instructions, which is not quite the same as being with your ill mother in the last days of her life. So you're doing double roles there. Plus, if you are going to get somebody professional, they are practiced, and I don't have to teach them. They know. I can just modify a few things. So, we don't have professional carers. First of all, the situation in the villages of India, where this patient was a real eye-opener for me as to how much little we have made progress in stroke management in our 70% of India. What we're talking about is aspirational for metropolis, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities. But our population lives 70% in small villages like where I come from. I'm actually a grandson of a farmer. I'm quite proud of that. And going back there with the digital technology, we need infrastructure development, and that's what needs doing. And that's old people are still getting neglected even in the village, rural societies, I find. So there's a lot of, and when they become ill, then it's a double jeopardy sort of. First of all, they're old, their needs are more of support. And Dr. Das was there the other day in the IPF, Indian Physicians Formulation, where they were talking about how Indians are becoming more dependent at age of 65. Whereas Americans are becoming that level dependent 25 years later. So we are not looking after our health at age 40 to invest in it so we can look after our ideal instrumental activities of daily living that Dr. Das was saying. Americans are able to do all without any help till 85, whereas we Indians are requiring that at age 60. It's a wake-up call for all Indians age 40 and above. Invest in your health. Otherwise, you will have to pay for it, because there'll be nobody to look after you. Population demographics is changing. The way the Indian population curve is bulged in the middle. We saw it. And these are papers. These are not speculations. These are actually papers, evidence-based talks. So I think the basic message is prevention, prevention, and prevention of the diabetes, obesity, cardiac disease, cerebrovascular disease, alcohol, salt, smoking, exercise, proper nutrition. So I think that's the message. We really need primary care physicians promoting prevention and care for the elderly who have missed the boat because it was mainly therapeutic. So they need a lot of interventions, help actually, from not doctors. I'm useless. We need basically carers, because they will not have families. Their children are basically living in America, or even they're living in Delhi. And yesterday I was hearing a story of, an old lady, son cannot come from Delhi to Calcutta because of COVID worry. So 2 ladies are working as ayahs, taking this lady to different hospitals. And you can imagine the psychological aspect, and the diabetes is bad. And it's a very messed up society that we are leaving for our children. And we will be walking into that in 30 years time, unless Dr. Kaushik Ranjan Das's, idea of the ideal world really takes food. I really pray to God that happens. But I see a lot of selfish people around us all the time. We have lost our humanity. That's the best thing. We have traded in for good quality smartphone, good clothes, big cars, and all sorts of things. But humanity has taken a big hit. Anyway, I can talk forever, but it's no point. But I was listening in great awe and reverence to Dr. Dash, who has been kind. He's the president. He's a very unassuming man. He does a lot of great things. He's the biggest man on the platform, I think, today. In the entire Geriatric Society of India, he's the president. But he's so humble and he's such a hard worker and he's so inspiring. And he doesn't tell us about anything he does. And he always says about, Professor O.P. Sharma writing the book, but it's his own creation. He has actually given me a kind copy and I read it. It's a wonderful book. I would recommend it. It's hard work gone in there. Very, very good book. Anyway, I shall not take up any more time. It's Dr. Das's day. Thank you, sir. Namaskar. I would have wished if he spoke something in Hindi. क्योंकि मैं तो हिंदी में ही बोलता हूँ. सिर्फ यहाँ पे डॉक्टर दास हिंदी शायद ज्यादा नहीं समझते हैं, लेकिन बैरकपुर से आते हैं.
समझते हैं, नहीं कुछ ज्यादा नहीं बोल सकते हैं.
तो वही हो गया ना, थोड़ा हिंदी बोल दीजिए. हिंदी हमारा भारत
तो बोल दिया.
थोड़ा सा हिंदी बोल दीजिए. थोड़ा सा हिंदी बोल दीजिए.
कोशिश कर रहा हो.
बस बैरकपुर में बहुत सारे हमारा बंगला नहीं बोल सकते हैं, ऐसा भाषा है. गन एंड शेल फैक्ट्री है वहाँ पे, हमारा ऑर्डिनेंस फैक्ट्री है उसी जगह में.
Yes, yes. All types of
बहुत
people
बड़ा
are
जगह
here.
है. Just
In this meeting, people are plenty here.
Yeah, true. Well, sir, thank you very much. Hetalji, you can take there. Hetalji.
Thank you, Dr. Ray, for sharing your experience about the patient care. I hope we see more examples of this, and it would really be good to connect about these things offline later, with Hardeep ji as well. And coming back, Dr. Das, again, sharing how grateful we are that you had agreed to come and share your story with us, your efforts. I hope others will also get inspired, and hopefully we will also be able to discuss and instigate more such programs in different parts of the country. This is very important work, and the cost that you mentioned, you are able to reduce it because you didn't charge for your own physician's costs. And hopefully others will also be inspired to give such services. And also the concept, the understanding of the problems in a society like ours, the context is very important, because it is easy to go completely in a Western model but the ground reality is that our social structure, our economic realities are very different. And I really appreciate all the efforts that you have been putting in, and I wish you have a really long life ahead and you continue to be able to be there for others as well. Yeah. Thanks again. We will definitely be in touch with you.
Thank you, madam. I shall be trying still my last breath for learning.
You have
In
inspired
different ways. In different whether I succeed or not, I shall be trying. So thank you very much. I am very much honored. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak here. Thank you very much for in this wonderful forum. I hope flourishment of this forum, and also stroke people get served, take some reliefs, take some assurance, security in life.
Thank you, Dr. Kaushik.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Great having you.
Namaskar.
And thank you, Hetalji, for a great submission. And again, as I said, obviously every journey begins with small steps. So we are all taking small steps. And I wish you, Dr. Kaushik, we wish you the very best. And thank you very much again. I'm closing the meeting now. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you very much again, Hetal.
Very good night. Very good night.